Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to 40 Something Fit Dad. I'm your host, Aaron Ross. Welcome to episode number 4. And I hope everyone's had a great week, a great weekend. Had some ups and downs. First of all, being in Melbourne, being in lockdown, there's a restriction on numbers at funerals. That was one of the big ones. I had a funeral today on Friday of my brother-in-law's mum, Dot, and only 10 could attend, which was really tough. Really tough. We could live stream it, which was cool, but definitely not the same. And haven't seen. I'm still not allowed to visit my brother-in-law just to give him a hug. But I am thinking of him, and I might see him. Hope to see him soon. Also, my gosh, I've got to stop. I've got a bit of feedback about the amount of times I say and it's not from one person. There's been a few. So I am trying to cut down the number of ums. We should put a counter down the bottom there, the counter, and just try and week by week, hopefully whittle it down to none, I guess. But yeah, it was my wife's birthday as well. Happy birthday, Tali. We celebrated with just had a quiet one at home, but yeah, it was, again, we missed out on celebrating something special with friends and family. So this pandemic, I'm sure everybody's got a story about it, and it's affecting everybody, in different ways. But we just, it's starting to take its toll. It's starting to take its. I've said this every week. It's starting to take its toll. But when they got a footprint and all this sort of stuff, I guess they're doing the best that they can do. But what is going to be the toll in the end? I think the mental health side of it, and also economic as well. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who've lost their jobs, lost their businesses. That's probably, I'm luckily enough to still be going. So, it's a crazy year. It's a wild year. It's probably something that we will never forget. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Another 3 weeks, and hopefully, I didn't really look into them. I know we have to wear a different type of mask now. We can't just wear the pull-up one. We have to wear some sort of medical apparatus. So, and then the curfew has been lifted, but we can't go anywhere. It's weird, sort of, and places like gyms, restaurants are still closed. Gyms are the biggest one for me, man. It's good to see that people are around walking and running and all that sort of stuff, but gyms, places of worship as well. It's starting. I think they've dug themselves into a hole that I don't know if they can really get themselves out of. But hang in there. That's all we can do, is hang in there and be close to those who you can be close to. You call them up, just get around each other, because I think this is, especially for me, I've starting to, it's getting a bit edgy, getting a bit dicey, but we'll move on from that. Great work, sports-wise, fantastic weekend. Western Bulldogs are in the finals coming up this weekend against St Kilda, so that'll be a cracker. The Lakers through to the NBA finals, which is good. I watched a few of the games. Denver Nuggets, man, they're a good team, and Miami got through today, beating the Celts. So Miami and Lakers final, and Jimmy Buckets, he could be. It's going to be great. It's going to be a really good final team. I think the Lakers are just firing on all cylinders at the right end of the season. They've got some real good, experienced players, and hopefully that'll be the difference. But you never know. Miami's done really, really well. UFC, Israel Adesanya just smashed. Took him to town, Paulo Costa to town. It was excellent to watch. I was a little bit, yeah, it was. I thought it would be a good fight, but Israel, man, he's got to be up there with one of the greatest. You know, he's unbelievable. He's a great fighter from New Zealand as well, via Nigeria. So, and he represents both of his, his motherland and his home as equal. It's really excellent to see. Watched it with my son, and he kind of took a bit of pride. We've got a heavy bag hanging in the garage, and he was in there giving it a few shots. So yeah, it might be something for him. So yes, this week I want to talk about bad habits and addictions. The reason why this comes on because I've had like I said, with the positivity of the pandemic and the lockdown, is I have had time of a bit of self-awareness of myself. Self-awareness of myself. I don't know. I think I just said it twice. But self-awareness. Time to reflect on myself and my behaviours, just myself as a person, as a dad, as a son, as a husband as well. And it's been good, but very revealing. And that's something that I'm not really used to. Is to be uncomfortable, especially when it comes to me, to myself, if that makes sense. Am I saying myself? Am I replacing with myself? But just just trying to self-awareness. Self-awareness has been a big thing. My weaknesses and strengths have been addressed just in my head. I haven't verbally sort of talked about it. So I think this will be something that I always knew that I wanted to discuss, and open conversation. That's my whole idea about this podcast, is to open conversations. And I guess I have to, for me to be able to get guests and so forth to be comfortable to open up, then I have to open up myself. And bad habits, and I've got them. Addictions, I may have them. And it's probably time for me to start addressing them and start working on them. And yeah, I think the time is now for me. I think it's a time for, sorry, it's going to get hard. I am going to pause a bit because I don't know if I'm oversharing or am I doing. I don't know how I feel about putting this out, but I think especially with addictions, I have had experiences within my family with drug addiction, alcoholism, gambling. A lot of vices in there, and I'm sure we all have, and that's where it sort of hits home. But when it's you that has to face, or when it's me that have to face up to certain behaviours that I have made normal in my life, and have to, it's sort of hard to say, really. I think it's more hard to say just because of what people think. I think that's one of my addictions, is addicted to what people think. I think that's a common thing about me. But as I'm getting older, that's sort of waning. I'm happy to talk about anything, really. But I'm saying must be because I'm nervous. I say a lot. So, stop. With addiction-wise, I took off. I thought I had a drinking problem. I think I did have a drinking problem. I was probably 7 years sober I thought that was I did a lot of things while drinking that I wasn't really proud of. And it wasn't like I was drinking every day. I was binge drinking on the weekends. I think that was, the more I sort of look back on it, as more to cover up just how unhappy I was in myself. Where I was, hey, Mania, just, I don't know. I've got a very low self-esteem. That's where drinking sort of propped me up and gave me this confidence and turned me into someone that I'm really not. I look at it now, I really wasn't that person, and that's why I couldn't differentiate it before though. But alcohol has always been a thing in my family. Yeah, and I knew that I wasn't any good on it. I thought I wasn't any good on it, but I had a lot of other problems that I probably should have been addressing. So I took 7 years off drinking. Went to AA, which was fantastic for me. Just opened my eyes to a lot of things, a lot of behavioural things on my behalf, and that I wasn't alone with a lot of things. But I went to the meetings and everything like that. Met some really good people, and there was a community there which were happy to help out. But I didn't tell anybody that I went to AA. I just thought that it was a dirty secret, and I'm happy to talk about it now. It's a fantastic group, a fantastic community. But the more I look at it now, I still have a lot of problems that should be addressed and worked on. That wasn't alcohol related. So because, even being 7 years sober, I was still had some addictions and some bad habits that I'm not too proud of, but it's something about it kind of puts your life on hold. The reason I'm bringing this up is I had a chat to a friend of mine, and he was saying that he watched a certain TV show, and it had sex scenes in it, and he goes he couldn't watch it because it brought up his addictions, and I knew exactly what I was talking about, and I didn't want to say anything because of ego, and we didn't really get into it, but it was along the lines of, not along the lines, it was about porn addiction that he's working on. And I have been, I think I've been fighting that for pretty much all my adult life. It's something that's, it's taken hold and taken a grip of my life. It's something that it's always been a part of my life, and it's affected my relationships with myself, with my wife, with family, just everything. It affects everything when it gets a grip, and I think drinking sort of lowered my ambitions, and then I would sort of go along the lines of watch a lot of porn and things like that, and to this day it's still there, very much still there, and I think it's embarrassing. I feel shame even admitting it or talking about it, but I think it's time for it to be normalized, because it's one of those things where it doesn't take a financial hold, or it does in some cases. But it doesn't. It's hard to explain. It's something that you're not. I don't know, like with a gambling addiction or something like that. There's that sort of physical sort of. There's a backlash to it. The bank accounts go dry and things like that, or a shopping addiction, or a food addiction, or something like that. With this, ever since like the internet, like beforehand, even in my teens, I guess I had that that fascination and being a male, and it's designed for 95% of males. It got me. There was the magazines, which then went into videos and DVDs, but it was a process. You had to go out and buy you had to go out and buy this stuff, and then you had to. It was a process. You sort of had to plan it. But now all you need is your phone, and you're away. You're away, and the dopamine hit that I get out of it makes things feel better for me, and that's it. I've gone to speak to someone about it. I really need to speak to a counselor, or was it counselor? What's that word? It'll come to me about it. It's but I can see how it's it's easy for someone who's not addicted to someone to say, "Oh, why don't you just stop?" Like I've never had a drug addiction or a gambling addiction. I've been to the casino, and I gamble a little bit. I'm a shit gambler, so I'll just admit it. But I know people who have blown their life savings, their life away with it, and it's easy for someone who isn't amongst it to say, "Oh, why don't you just stop?" Like I've got a family history of abuse. Was it substance abuse? And it's really hard. You try, and it's easy to say, okay, do this and do that. But if they're not willing to stop, or you're not willing, it is hard. And that's where, with porn addiction, it's, because it's so common. I mean, everything we sort of look at is sexualized, and just aiming for that dopamine, that hit, especially in you look at Instagram, especially, or social media. There's pages of, like, because I'm right into fitness, and then there's pages of girls and guys as well, but mainly girls, just with wearing basically nothing and just showing their asses. And then it's not a skill, but it's there, and it's enticing, and they've got things to sell. And then there's and you keep on going through, and it just keeps on. Well, this is for me personally, and you just keep on looking into it. Then they've got OnlyFans, and then they've got it's their own pages and all this sort of stuff, and it gets a grip, and the more I look at it, you can sort of look at it as, it's sort of harmless fun and all that sort of stuff, or it's what men do, but it's it can take a tight grip, and especially what I've been noticing is my intimacy in my marriage is sort of diminishes, because my wife really can't. She understands where I'm coming from. She's been super supportive. But at the same time, she's a human with who wants to be wanted, and has needs, and it's sometimes I'm so detached from reality just through this that it's that it is it can pretty much ruin your life. So that's sort of where I'm at with it. And then you look at all these porn sites and things like that, and they've got millions and millions. They've got categories and millions of videos, and just things that just feed that addiction. And it's free. That's the thing. It's free. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is not just to embarrass myself or my family, but I've got a son and I've got 2 daughters, and I've got to try and figure out a way to have a conversation about it and open that up, because there is reality and there is fantasy land, and my girls don't have to, it's something that I have to really think about and do a bit more research on, just to get the wording right. But I know that genetics are a big thing, and my son is a spitting image of me, unfortunately for him. And his behaviours, wow, and I know somewhere in there, I really want to be on the front foot and let him have a conversation about, as uncomfortable as it is going to be for me, it will be for him as well. But one thing that I learned on the weekend was from my brother-in-law, whose mum passed away, and he said that she's always been open and honest with him. Talk to him about anything, and that was something that I've got to. It took me aback. I was really envious of their relationship because they're so damn close, and it was a beautiful thing. And I want the way for me to get closer to my kids and to my wife is to open up discussions about things that make you uncomfortable, and that's one of the things. My porn addiction, sex addiction, whatever you want to call it, pretty much is running my life. Whenever I feel bad, I turn to it. Whenever things aren't going my way, I turn to it. Whenever things are going good, I turn to it. I try to incorporate it in my private life, and I think my partner, my wife, sort of just entertains it but I know that, it's not for everyone, which I get. But, I think porn addictions are it's not spoken about a lot. I think I don't know. Well, I haven't heard much about it, but yeah, if it's affecting other people's life like it's affecting mine, then it's got to be spoken about and worked on. And there are books and things like that out there that I've got to really, really work on. But I think from that as well is to work on other habits that will sort of combat my addiction. One of those things is sleep. I think I'm trying to get 8 to 9 hours sleep a night. I know that it sounds unrelated, but every time I have a great night's sleep, I feel $1 million. Just I feel energized. My mind's just on. I feel sharp. I feel energetic. In a great mood, and that's your emotions. My emotions are it's very important to be, in a good mood and moving forward, because if I am in a shitty mood, or sometimes I have 4 to 5 hours sleep, and that's eating junk food in bed, eating ice cream, watching Netflix, watching absolute shit on TV, and then waking up at 5:30, 5:30 in the morning, absolutely spent and angry. My mind's sort of waking up before me. My head's just going. I'm got anxiety, half depressed as well. Just 'cause I don't want to get out of bed. Just feel like shit, and that's due to lack of sleep, bad diet. Ashamed of what I've done, like with my addiction. I just know that it's sort of hanging over my head, and it's not a good way to live, because I did make mistakes, in my early days with it, but my reality now is probably the best. I love my life. I love my life. I love my family. I love my friends. I love the position I'm in, and I love where I'm going to go as well. But if I don't tackle this, I know that I'll always be a step behind. I'll always be a step behind if I don't get this. So I'm planning a set. But the thing is, I don't want it. It's hard to. So many times I have said, no more. Just that's it, done. And it doesn't last. It doesn't last at all. So I don't know what the plan is. Maybe I went on a 7-day hiatus of social media, And maybe I just have to do that, and it'll just get easier as it goes. So, yeah, but the sleep, my what I eat as well, it's just so all these habits have to be sort of, the way I feel is all these habits have to be in line to sort of fight off the big one. I don't know. But I know it has to change and things have to change. And I know I'm not the person I am when I'm in the grips. I know I'm, pardon the pun, but it's, so you have to laugh about it. You have to laugh about it. I have to, because I don't know. I don't want to take it I do want to take it too seriously, but I know it doesn't define who I am. And, you know, if I wanted to start conversations to help out other people. So if there are people out there that have got some advice for me, then yeah, you know, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Yeah, so that's it. So other than that, I don't know. I don't know why I've opened up the. I feel embarrassed now. I feel really embarrassed. I don't know if I'll put this out. But I should, because it's not only going to help me. Hopefully, this helps me, but if it helps someone else, then it'll make it worthwhile, I think. Yeah, it's definitely something that, oof, it's a bit heavy. I need a break.